Welcome in to the Rob Breaux Show. I am Rob Breaux. He's Carson Robinson. I am the host. He's the co-host, except today you're also the co-host. Out there in listener land, you can comment on the starting line chat line. As we already have a couple of comments here. Checking in was Haley a couple of moments ago. Crummy Raiders here, so we can start. All right, well, we'll start when we start. How does that go? We'll also talk Texas Rangers today, including your comments. We'll talk Josh Young. We'll see what happens with Josh Young. We've got an update on his surgery. What else did I say we're talking about? The Texas Tech Red Raiders starting rankings, preseason rankings.
Yep.
Okay, I'll get it. Just wait. And more. Let's start with the Rangers. They won 8 in a row before dropping one to the A's, but you win a series. Bruce Bochy is a big league manager.
Mm-hmm.
He is worried about winning series, and he will bench everyone on game 3 of a series if you won the first 2. And results be damned. If you sweep, you sweep. If you don't, you don't. You won 2 out of 3, and that's all you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Major League Baseball is. You got to win series. You would love to sweep the Oakland A's because they're terrible.
You would prefer it.
But it's also big league baseball. You know, you're going up against big league pitching. Sometimes you get shut out. Sometimes it just happens. It doesn't matter how good the team has been or how bad the team has been. You win 8 straight, though, and sometimes the guys deserve a day off they've been busting their rear ends and grinding, and I don't mind it. I don't mind giving guys days off and doing those things. So a loss in Oakland, although you hate to lose to a bad baseball team in the standings, still a big league ball club. You're going to lose some games in the major leagues. You play 162 games. Sometimes you're going to lose. But 8 straight is nice. 9 straight would have been even more nice.
8 straight is nice. You hold on to the division lead. The Astros have not led the AL West since I don't know when. They tied.
Yeah.
They tied the AL West, but they never took the outright lead. I don't think.
No, they never took the outright. Well, they were up by half a game.
Oh, were they for like
on and off
3 hours?
The Rangers, okay. On a day where they played early and the Rangers played late at night. So,
okay.
But yeah, Houston on the days that the Rangers have lost, the Astros have lost as well. So that's helped the Rangers continue to lead in the AL West. Because Houston lost. They're in, where are they at right now? They're on a road trip too, I believe. But they lost yesterday as well, or not yesterday, the day before yesterday, and
they were in Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore. There you go. That's right.
They're back home today with the Astros.
Yeah, didn't get the sweep of the Orioles. The Orioles got a game there. Big series for the Astros to go on the road and get 2 out of 3 in Baltimore, though.
Big series. I think it was a split series. Was it?
Yeah,
no, they only played 3 games.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll be hosting the Angels and then the Marlins over there in Houston. Houston lost to Oakland 2. No big deal. No, it's not a big deal. I mean, you're still 2.5 up games on Houston. You won the series, which is what you want to do. That was my whole point. Ron Washington used to do that all the time, and in my youth, I didn't understand it. Just raising the white flag there at the end of a series. Who cares? Well, if you win 66% of your games, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the playoffs with 66 win percentage. So we're fine.
Yeah. Anytime you win 8 straight, it's hard to just be unsatisfied when you lose.
Yeah, be mad about the 9th one.
If you can win more than a week straight worth of games in the big leagues, you're a pretty daggum good baseball team. So
and Scherzer got to win. Montgomery looked good again. That's all you can ask for.
Right. Yeah. Haley made a great point. If you're going to bench them, do it against 30-win Oakland. Don't mind it. Yep. I agree. I don't care. Especially in a day game. Yeah.
Yeah. The old Ron Washington.
Whatever. Yeah.
Up next, the Giants. Have you heard? I listened to this the other day. I don't know if it was on the Ticket or the Fan there in Dallas. I guess it was the ticket. They do the fake Bruce Bochy. Have you heard this?
No,
It's incredible.
no, I haven't. They have a guy that does it, or they
Yeah,
just one of the
there's a
guys
guy.
on.
Yeah, one of the guys that does it. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that did the fake Nolan Ryan.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the fake Bruce Bochy is on point. It is hilarious. They asked him about going back to San Francisco, and it was a great answer. Just because Bochy, breathes loudly and has the deep
Very,
voice. 70. He's 70 years old.
yeah.
So I thought it was really funny. Shout out to Bill Walton's kid who put that in there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta start listening to that stuff more. But
Yeah, he is. I'll send you that link.
yes,
Um,
please do.
but going back to San Francisco, I don't think it really matters for Bochy. I mean, obviously there's history there, but baseball is baseball. It doesn't matter where you're playing. You're playing against a major league team.
Yeah, I mean, in the the Dodgers, the Giants are. I don't know that it doesn't even look like the same team that Bochy even coached in his last year in San Francisco. So there's a couple of mainstays that are still in that lineup, but other than that, I don't know that Bochy coached a lot of these guys, and that there's, I'm sure going back to San Francisco where he has great memories, won some World Series, won a lot of ball games as the manager, and that ran its course, and he knew it was time to leave, and they knew it was time to move on as well. So it's not like a uh, one where he's going back thinking that he got wronged or they got wronged by Bochy and all that
Right.
thing. I think he
Right.
did what he was meant to do in San Francisco, and he'll be beloved by Giants fans for forever. And he'll go back and they'll announce Bruce Bochy's name, and he'll get a standing ovation, and it'll be really cool. I'm
Yeah,
sure you might get a tear out of Bruce Bochy tonight.
there's no drama there.
None, no drama whatsoever. It's going to be a fanfare. Everybody's going to love seeing Bruce Bochy back in the ballpark. That's where it's going to be. And that guy, he's the consummate professional. You already said him. He's a big league guy. He's a big league manager. He played big league baseball. He's been in and around the big leagues for I don't know how many years now. He's 70 something years old. He's probably been in the big leagues and all that since he's in his 20s. So you're talking about a guy who's just a consummate professional, knows what to do. I think going back to San Francisco will be nice for him, but I don't think he really is putting too much into it or reading too much into going back to San Francisco. There's no extra juice to want to win in San Francisco. It's go out and win a series, stay in first place, and let's go back home and win some more games.
Yeah, if you're forcing if you're forcing Houston to go undefeated here, to catch up with you because you just keep winning series, that's what you need.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
I saw some. I think it was from Codify. Codify. Is it Codify or Codify?
Codify. That's how I say it.
Codify Baseball put out some playoff percentages based on their metrics and numbers. The Astros 89% to make the playoffs. Can you guess the Rangers?
91%.
87.
Oh.
So less likely the Rangers.
So they like the Astros to win the division, is what they're saying.
I think there's a little history bias there,
recency bias. Yeah,
some recency history bias there. So, but as Haley says in the starting line, chat line, isn't it fun? We're in the race. Hell yeah, it is.
It's a lot of fun. It's nice to be back into loving the Rangers. For the longest time, everybody who grew up a Rangers fan, you could bank on them having a good offense, but there never was great pitching. And then in the early 2000s, you had it all. You put it all together with Ron Washington and had good ball clubs. And you get close to winning a World Series. You lose to the Giants. A Bruce Bochy coached Giants team. The first year you get there, you get the taste, you get swept, and then you go and you should have won a World Series against St. Louis. And then after that, you were good for another couple years, and you just haven't been able to. You had one good year under Jeff Bannister. That was it.
6 straight losing seasons.
Yeah, had a couple wild card seasons, but other than that, it's been rough sailing lately. I mean, that's why you've been able to reload and get the Josh Youngs of the world, because you've been so bad. That's where you get good draft slots. So you've been able to get the Josh Youngs, the Lighters, all those kind of guys that I think in the long run, this program, this club will be really good, especially now that you have Seager for a while. You've signed Marcus Semien for a while. You'll get Jacob deGrom back, hopefully. You like the nucleus of where this club is leading, but it's all, like Haley said, it's so nice to have a Rangers team and be able to watch games and they mean something here in the months of August and September versus, hey, I wonder where they're going to finish in the division, where they're going to finish in the record, and what draft spot we're going to be able to get. It's going to be 1 through 5. What are we going to be at?
The resident Cardinals fan chiming in, but you didn't. Thank you, Nelson.
Yeah, thank you, Nelson. I think it was more thank you, Neftali, for throwing right down the middle on a 2-strike count, but yeah.
Hyping it. Lubbock and Arrow, Texas Rangers equal Texas Tech football.
They'll break your heart. You get excited, and then they'll break your heart. Yeah.
All offense, no defense.
It's a fact, too. Maybe just Texas Tech athletics in general.
Yeah, I especially since 1996, all of my teams have only led to heartache.
Yeah. Especially whenever you get so close and you get to the mountaintop, you just got to take that one extra step to get there, and you slip and fall and you never get there. Yeah, it's been rough, but of course the Cowboys, one of your boys, your teams haven't been that close to the mountaintop recently, but
they've been in the playoffs.
They'll probably get a wild card spot again this year and lose in the first round. So
they won a playoff game last year.
Yeah,
Tom Brady.
I think Tom had given up at that point.
Yeah, we'll see. Josh Young, out 6 weeks. He had surgery on his thumb. 6 weeks gives you about a week and a half before the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. And I don't know. It depends on where you're at, obviously. The week before the playoffs, you have the Twins and the Mets on the road. You're on the road. What does that look like? Of course, you're in Arizona before that. So a long roadie to end the season. Or no, that's August. I'm looking at the end of August. The end of September, you're at home. No, you're on the road in Los Angeles and then Seattle. But yeah, I mean, it depends on what it looks like, whether he comes back for the end of the regular season or whether he comes back just for the playoff. Like you just get him ready to suit up and win a wild card series or win a playoff series. So
right.
In the LDS. So I think it just all depends on what it looks like as far as the standings go. Do you want Josh Young back early? How is he healing up? Because you don't want to rush him back because you don't want to ruin something and it becomes a lingering issue that you don't want to have to take care of next year into the end of the off season.
Right. But if he's back, he helps.
Oh, big time.
You don't want Josh Smith playing third base in pivotal series.
No.
Nothing against Josh Smith, but he is just not he's not Josh Young.
He's not Josh Young.
Not at all. And defensively, he's not terrible.
Right.
But he just does not provide the same thing on offense.
The only tool he has that Josh Young does not have on offense is speed.
Yeah.
It's the only tool Josh Smith possesses that Josh Young does not possess at a high level. And Josh Smith he has some power tools, not a whole lot, but his only tool that helps you is the speed game for him. Josh Young doesn't have that, but he doesn't need it when you hit doubles and 20 plus bombs as a rookie.
Yeah, he can unhook the wagon.
I just hope it doesn't, hamper, really, really hurt his rookie of the year candidacy. I think there's a lot of people that are going to, I think a lot of people are going to say that, he shouldn't be able to get the rookie of the year since he didn't play the whole year. But at the end of the day, who was the best rookie on the, who made the biggest difference on their team? Josh Young is by far, in my mind, not just being biased here, maybe a little bit, but if you just look at the rookies, the way that what they've meant to their ball clubs, and throw the Red Sox rookie out, he's 30 plus years old. I don't think he should even be in the rookie of the year conversation, to be honest. But I think Josh Young has been the best rookie in the American League, even with the injury.
Updated odds: Gunnar Henderson minus 200, Yoshida and Tristan Casas. Casas, whatever.
He was the rookie of the month this last year.
Josh Young, fourth, at plus 1,500.
I mean, I think his rookie of the year candidacy is up, but I think if they really voted on who is the rookie of the year and not just because he got hurt, like if he doesn't get hurt, he's your rookie of the year.
Right.
And it sucks because you
Yeah.
only get one chance
Oh.
at this. You don't get to
Now,
just have another MVP season.
yeah.
Darrell's an MVP season. Next year, you can come back have another MVP season. You only get one chance at winning the rookie of the year.
Yeah. Now, I think it was a tight race with Gunnar Henderson,
I agree.
regardless. But if he, man, what could
But
have
I
been?
don't think Gunnar Henderson's going to be on a team that wins his division. If Josh Young would have been the third baseman on the team that wins the division, I think that he would be.
The
of
Orioles
course,
have a bigger lead.
I know
than
the Baltimore is up by 2 games or 3
Three.
games. Yeah, the Rays might be slipping, man. How about that? Okay, so who's the biggest surprise in the major leagues this year? Baltimore or Texas?
Baltimore.
You think so?
They
Yeah.
suck.
They were
They
bad.
have sucked so bad.
But,
They
I
were
mean, the Rangers weren't great either last year, so
but the Rangers had like 2 bad years.
that's fair.
They had 6 losing seasons, but really they were pretty
Competitive.
dog crap for 2 years.
Yeah.
The Orioles were the worst team in baseball for like a decade.
They were the Oakland A's of this year for a while. Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like there's just a difference.
That's fair.
But they have really bounced back, and how they've done it. This bullpen being the best
Bunch of
bullpen
young
in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles, I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but it's always a surprise to me when there's 6 young guys on a team and they're all consistent.
Is that one thing too with Gunnar Henderson? Obviously, if you pay attention to baseball, he's one of the top prospect in baseball last year coming into this year. With Josh Young, you and I and Tech fans knew what you were probably going to see from Josh Young, but a lot of people in baseball that are just baseball fans probably never even heard of Josh Young until this year. But Gunnar Henderson, has he eclipsed that mark of where we thought he'd be as a rookie, or is he just performing the way everybody thought he would? I don't know, but I think he's been a big boost to that team and that ball club, and
I'm sure there's some of that, yeah.
Because he's been phenomenal. But that bullpen is just ridiculous. Like, you get a lead, they get a lead, and it's pretty much done after the 5th inning. If they're leading after the 5th or 6th inning, it's over. I don't know what their record is after that, but
yeah, they blew a save against the Astros. Did you see that?
Yeah. Well, they're 7-3 in their last 10. That's not bad. Of course, the Rangers are 8-2, so eat on that.
I didn't know Danny Colombe was with the Orioles. He's on the IL right now.
Yeah.
Just looking at their roster.
Red Raiders everywhere, man. They're moving up the ranks too over the last couple of weeks. A few guys going to Double-A. Baker went to Double-A this week.
Yep.
Jace Young got promoted to Double-A a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Brandon Birdsell.
Yeah, Birdsell. You've already had dadgummit, the catcher, Fulford Braxton. He's already been up with Hartford. So, yeah. And then Jacob Patterson moved up to AAA. Nice to see that. You also have Robert Duggar in the Rangers AAA system.
Caleb Killian up with the Cubs.
Caleb Killian, yeah. So a lot of Red Raiders are about to I think Josh Young is just the tip of it for
tip of the spear.
Yeah, for the Red Raiders about to take over the big leagues. And I think that's what you see with the success that you've had in the Tim Tadlock era. Yeah, it's only a matter of time till those guys get pulled up and you see them making, playing big roles in the big leagues, which Josh Young has proven to do this year. He would have had an opportunity to be the rookie of the year.
Parker Kelly got updated as well.
Yeah, that's right.
From Roy. Roy put in his application to transfer to Tech. Shout out to Roy.
Nice. Welcome to the LBK.
Got his associates.
Smart.
Let's see. This from Keith Murphy. Have you been paying attention to the Iowa State stuff?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm not like diving into it. Haven't had time.
All right. The latest
I can tell it's going to be good because when it's going to be good, you laugh.
What are we calling it? Suspension? What is this? Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, suspension. Yeah.
You got charged, okay? He's like the 7th or 8th Iowa State football player to be charged with something related to gambling, whether it's betting on your own team, which
a lot of them were illegally gambling as far as using other and aliases and false identities. The false identities are what they're getting in trouble for,
right?
Because it's illegal to Iowa. It's legal to gamble in the state of Iowa,
right?
Just illegal for the NCAA to gamble on your team and gamble as a student athlete. But as an 18-year-old, you're legal to gamble. But if you're using false identification, that is a felony.
Iowa State's Jake Rimsberg, Valley alum, charged with tampering with records by Story County Attorney's Office. I don't know exactly what that entails. Tampered, somehow going back and saying he didn't do something. I don't know what he did. But Rimsberg is accused of placing 273 bets, totaling $1,108, an average of $4 per bet, including 6 wagers on NCAA basketball and football. He is not accused of betting on Iowa State. He told investigators he knew he couldn't gamble, so he tried to avoid problematic wagers by betting on UFC and NBA, mostly avoiding NCAA sanctioned events. The account was allegedly opened through his mother's information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the one who was using his mom as his alias.
There were several. There was an Iowa player who also did that. His mom didn't know.
Yeah, he that's right. His mom was the one that didn't know, and she's getting checks. She's getting checks like sent to her house, wondering. He calls her and says, "Hey, send me that money that just got put in." The old 5 Dimes account. How about that?
This guy ruined his college career to bet $4 on the UFC.
Yeah, that's rough, man. $4. Not going to win you a whole lot there unless you're betting on the long shot that's never going to win.
And if he would have opened this in his name,
he'd have been fine.
Done it by the book, he would have been fine.
He'd have been fine. The only thing he would have done is get a reprimand from the NCAA for betting, but he didn't even bet on college. Well, I don't know how it works now. But anyways, yeah, he wouldn't have been getting federal charges for using false identification and impersonment or whatever you call it. That's where they really screwed the pooch on themselves, is trying to hide the fact that what they were doing.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically saying, yeah, I'm wrong, but I'm going to do it. He even said, like, I knew I couldn't gamble. So,
right.
Come on, man.
Just do it. Like, to me, this guy should not be reprimanded at all.
Because he doesn't know how to bet? I think he should be reprimanded because he's betting $4. And what are you doing, kid?
Wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just for the thrill of the game.
You the $2, $4 guy?
Yeah,
shake $5 at it and let it ride.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if it's just for the love of the game,
that's fair.
You're not trying to make a bunch of money, but I understand why he's getting in trouble, because he used his mom's name, false identity, whatever. I guess that's the tampering part of it.
That's where you get in trouble right there. Yep.
But if an NCAA, if it was legal in Texas and Texas Tech players were betting on the NBA and the UFC, I would have zero problem with it.
I have zero issue with it if you're betting on the Big East in basketball. If you play college football and you're not betting Iowa State games, you're not betting Big 12 games, you can bet on Mountain West games. I don't care. Why do I care? What are you going to do? Like, how can you rig that to your benefit? I mean, what are you going to do? Call another guy up and then you're in big trouble and say, hey, man, I need you to really, the point spread is this. I put this on there. I'll split it with you if you can make sure they don't score. That's not how it works. Like, college kids aren't that smart. If they were, we would have done it in college.
The Sharps have all the information anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have any information that Sharps don't already have.
Right. Fact. That's a fact.
Through whatever alleys that they have.
I get NCAA. Their issue probably is they don't want kids gambling because they know it can cause issues financially and addiction to it and all these
Point
things. I think that's
shaving.
part of it. But the NCAA also just has an issue with kids doing something on their own that they don't sanction. The whole reason that athletes never got paid until now for their name, image, and likeness. I mean, the NCAA tried their hardest and their darndest to make sure that kids could never get paid to play college athletics. And now that it's happening, I think it's promoted the game to a new height. I think it's made it more difficult in some ways, but in some ways, I think it's made college athletics superior to some professionals.
But there was a kid, talk about point shaving and all that. There was a kid who had an emotional hedge on Texas to beat Iowa State. They had the Texas money line, and then Iowa State won 30-10. So we're not calling that point shaving.
No.
Lubbock and Arrow on the starting line chat line. When I was at Tech in 17 through 19, you couldn't bet on any sport that is sanctioned by the NCAA. So basketball, football, tennis, stuff like that is off limits. But horse races, UFC, etc. is fine. Yeah, if you want to bet, just bet on professional sports.
Fact. And that's the thing too, is college sports are a little bit more difficult to do that on anyway. So unless you're going 12-team parlay in college football and you know you're going to hit some. that was
terrible betting advice.
No.
A 12-team parlay is not better than a straight up bet.
The 12-team parlay is where you let it ride, Bobby.
No, I agree, but that's not sound betting advice.
No, not sound betting advice. It always worked for me though.
Well, not always. I bet it would rarely work. But you hit one of those, and
you hit one. That's all that matters.
Hit one out of 12, and you're
I think my best season, you hit 3. I hit 3.
Yeah,
that's a great season.
And you did 40 of them.
I was not playing college athletics at that point, though. I was out of college.
Let's see. You're also in Texas and not betting through. Yeah, you're not helping yourself saying you weren't a college athlete.
Hey, allegedly.
But that was NAIA versus NCAA, so
yeah, there's no rules in.
Oh, let's see. I just wanted that poor kid, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm never gonna play college athletics again.
See, and I don't think that's the right penalty, but obviously I think all he'll get from the federal charges is probably just some restitution, some fines, probation. He's not going to play at Iowa State. No, I think he'd go play, small D1 Division II. Nobody would know him.
Sly Canyon says, "I'll bet $1 that McCarthy screws up clock management this year." I'd bet way more than that.
I would. Yeah, I'd probably put my house on one of those bets.
Yeah. In multiple games.
Yeah, let me get that action actually every Sunday.
The bum. Yeah. What a bum. Can't believe I have to root for that guy.
Is he as bad at clock management? Mike Leach was never known for his clock management. Was Mike Leach as bad as Mike McCarthy?
No. The college game is different.
True.
It feels easier in the NFL with the 2-minute warning and everything else. He just has no idea what he's doing.
That's a fair point.
Zero clue. All right. Let's go to some conference realignment. What are your thoughts on SMU basically saying we'll come for free for 5? We'll pay our way for 5 years, take zero conference payout from the ACC if you let us in, and then we'll be free for 5 years.
How are you going to make money? Like, what are you doing to make money? They're not getting 20. They don't even get 20,000 at their home football games unless they're playing TCU.
Jim Irsay's paying the way, baby.
Not a chance. No way. No way he's paying for their whole for 5 years. No.
Apparently SMU alums are. They're ponying up the cash.
The Pony Express is back, baby.
Yeah. It's legal now.
Yeah. You can pay Dickerson and Craig James guys now. I don't know what I don't like. I mean, if you're the university and you have the money, it better match what the funds you were going to make are. And I don't know that you can match that. Like, you've got to be able to make money at some point, right? Because otherwise,
You'll
what's the
think.
point? I mean, being in a conference is one thing. Being successful in that conference is another issue too. Can SMU be successful in the ACC?
No.
No, they cannot. They don't have the facilities. They don't have the, the money. They don't have the money right now to compete in the ACC. What makes them think they can do it by going there for free and
Apparently they
hoping
do.
that some guys give them money? Like, you better fill your stadium with they get the same crowds as North Texas. You think North Texas thinks they can go to the ACC and compete? No.
Would that improve their recruiting to go to the ACC?
No.
Yeah, why would it?
No, it wouldn't.
It doesn't.
Because
It doesn't.
what's the
It
difference?
doesn't grow your Texas footprint.
No. What's the difference? You're in the American Athletic Conference right now. All the teams, you play some teams in Florida, you play some teams on the East Coast. What's the difference? East Carolina versus North Carolina. So what? What, like, a kid from Charlotte, North Carolina, are they going to choose to come to SMU over North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, all these other schools, Clemson? Not a chance. Not a chance. It's not going to improve your footprint in Florida.
No.
No way that's happening. You have Florida State and Miami. Georgia Tech are right there. Everybody in the AC or the SEC and their dog is going after those kids from Florida. What does that help SMU in doing? It helps you in no way, shape, or form to go to the ACC. It just does not. And you're right, it doesn't help your footprint in Texas. Plus, the ACC is about to, if they lose, North Carolina and Clemson and Duke, especially in basketball, the ACC is going to be the second tier, Power 5, just like the Pac-12 is now, or the Pac-4.
Just like the AAC.
The AAC, exactly.
We're 3 years removed from them trying to be in the Power 6. Can you imagine?
I think you're going to see a Power 3 and then a middle 3 and then a group of whatever the rest of them are.
I know, but go back in time.
Yeah.
They were begging when Houston and
UCF
and Cincinnati were being successful.
Yeah.
They're in their conference now. Those are Big 12 teams now. But go back 2.5, 3 years when they're trying to get in the playoff and their commissioner's saying, oh, it's a Power 6.
No. Here's the thing. When Kansas was bad in football, Kansas could have gone to the American Athletic Conference and been a 7-win, 6-win football team at their worst in the AAC. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
In Power 5 football versus Group of 5 football. It's a big difference. There's a big difference in the MAC conference in the Sun Belt versus the ACC in the Big Ten. Like, huge difference there.
We heard Matt Wells talk about that all the time, kind of in between the lines, saying, oh, there's a great offensive coordinator every week in this league. Unlike where I was before in the Mountain West, when there's a bad quarterback and a bad offensive coordinator every other week that we can kind of skip over.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't care how bad the bottom tier of your league is. I don't care how bad Vanderbilt is. Vanderbilt could go to the American Athletic Conference and be a top tier team in the American Athletic Conference. It's just a fact of the matter. And that would be in every sport. They would compete in football, basketball, and obviously baseball. They compete in baseball on the top of the SEC every single year. But, it's different in a Power 5 conference where you have just name brand after name brand after name brand coming at you every single week versus, playing in the AAC where you get, the East Carolinas of the world who haven't been great the last few. They were not bad the last couple of years, but it fluctuates between year to year. And on the years that Cincinnati and UCF were good, I mean, Auburn didn't care to be in the Peach Bowl that year.
Right.
They had just lost the Iron Bowl. They were reeling. They, had certain guys that were holding out of the game to get ready for the NFL draft. That was UCF's national championship, obviously, and they claim it. But if you would have put them in the college football playoff that year, they'd end up like Cincinnati and lost in the first round, just like Cincinnati did. And nobody would have even blinked an eye. Like, yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. This from Jim Williams. from Washington, news guy, journalist. On the Pac-4 front, nothing has changed, he says. This is from 2 hours ago. ACC, despite Notre Dame's urging not enough votes to add Cal and Stanford, the American will still take all 4. The Mountain wants a merger or partnership. Meanwhile, rebuilding the Pac or going it alone, Stanford remains on the table.
See, I think that if the 2 teams that need a conference are Wazoo and Oregon State, Stanford
can go independent.
Stanford could go independent. Cal could care less about athletics in general.
Cal should drop sports.
They might even just say, you know what, screw it, we're done. We'll go to Division II in sports. We don't care.
Cal to the
all
Ivy
they care
League.
about is Cal to the Ivy League. They don't care. We'll play the Ivy League. We'll only play an Ivy League schedule. They don't make the play. I mean, Ivy League teams don't go into the FCS playoffs.
Yeah.
They play their Ivy League schedule. They play an Ivy League championship. That's it. They're done. It's kind of like the some of the HBCUs. They don't put themselves in the FCS playoffs, even though I thought Jackson State should have the last couple of years because they could have really competed in it. South Carolina State's done that a couple of years, but I think Stanford could be independent and they'd be totally fine being an independent along with Notre Dame because that makes that rivalry even more so important for those 2 teams because that's always been a key rivalry for both of those 2. They play every single year pretty much, or at least try to. It preserves that. And then if Stanford wanted to, they could still play, some of the remaining Pac-4 schools and some Mountain West schools just to keep it regional if they cared about that. But they have plenty of money in their athletic program.
Yeah.
They can be successful as an independent, no problem.
I think Stanford should go independent. Cal, if they want to play football, they can be in the Mountain West with Oregon State and Washington State. But you just need to do something.
Yeah,
you've had 2 years. Do anything. Do anything, Pac-12.
Well, and that's the thing is the Pac-12 had an opportunity to dissolve the Big 12 into the Pac-12, and then the rest of the Big 12 would have had to figure it out, Twice, 2 times. And they chose not to because they're like, oh, we'll be fine. We don't need those schools. We're the bigger, better conference. We're the conference of champions. I don't know that they've been there's no championships coming from the conference of champions other than Arizona and softball, in baseball, but in the last few years. But I don't see the only possible way the Pac-12 stays together is by dissolving the Mountain West Conference into the Pac-12, and they just become the Pacific Athletic Conference. And however many teams are in it, you can rebrand it to the Pac-14. Who cares?
Yeah.
But you're not a Power 5 conference anymore. You're now a Group of 5 conference or group of whatever, 6, 7. I don't know how many medium tier conferences there are anymore. There's 3 top tier conferences. It's the SEC. Well, I guess the ACC still has Clemson and North Carolina and Duke. As long as they have those teams, and Florida State and Miami are still in that conference, then you're still a Power 5 conference. But it's a Power 4 as of now. There's no Power 5 anymore.
No.
The Pac-12. I
don't even agree with the Power 4. I just think there's 25 teams that could win a national championship.
Should we just do away with that, right? The power sayings?
Yes. I think it's dead. I thought it was dead as soon as Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12. And with the expanded playoff. They wanted to do 6 automatic bids. Greg Sankey has already come out and said, well, we need to reassess that with the Pac-12 leaving. Which I agree with.
Yeah, here's the thing: put the best teams. Put the best teams in the playoff. I don't care if they won the conference. If Alabama, if there's 4,
like Kansas State should have been in the playoff last year.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they won the Big 12. And if you want in the expanded playoff, they would have been in the expanded playoff because they won the Big 12. Now TCU should have gotten an at-large.
Mm-hmm.
But that you would have had 2 teams in the expanded playoff last year.
Yeah. I'm agreed with you on the fact that Kansas State would have been in it last year, but if you don't have it as conference champions or automatic berths, does Kansas State become a bid into the expanded playoff?
I don't know. Probably. Not as automatic. I like if you want to do 4 automatic bids and no time to a conference, just say the top conference champions get in. So if they're an undefeated, outright, dominant Tulane next year, all right, they can be in the playoff automatic bid. But that's only if they're in front of the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC. 4 automatics. I like the idea of automatic bid, and it technically makes the playoff. It makes the conference championship games even more important, especially Power 5 level. Now, we had that whole conversation that doesn't exist, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then these little, if you're undefeated and you're Boise State and you're in the Mountain West and you have an opportunity to be in the playoff, if you win your conference championship game, then hey, there's another opportunity for you.
Yeah.
If you can get an automatic bid.
That's the real question is automatic. I agree with you right there, saying the conference championship games have to mean something. I mean, because otherwise, what's the point of playing them other than to put them on TV, make some TV money, and that's it. That's it. Like that's what
Right.
if they don't mean anything, you've changed my mind back to conference champions shouldn't automatically
SEC,
be given it, but yeah, I think they should.
In the SEC and the Big 10, that's been a play-in game.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And usually the team that they play for the last few years, at least in the SEC championship, both of those teams have made the playoff. Georgia and Alabama, or Georgia and LSU.
A few times they've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple times. So, because the year LSU won the national title, it was LSU, Alabama in the playoff at the same time. Or no, LSU and Georgia. Who was it?
Alabama.
LSU, Alabama. Yeah, that's right. And then Georgia and Alabama were in it because Georgia beat Oklahoma and Alabama beat Clemson in the semifinals one year. And then that was the year Georgia and Alabama went to overtime in the national title game, right? And Tua threw it down the sideline.
Yep.
Won it in overtime. And then, last year you had 2 SEC teams in the playoff as well. So,
did you?
Did you? No, just Georgia. Who was it? Georgia,
Michigan,
Georgia, TCU, Michigan, and Cincinnati. Was it Cincinnati last year? Cincinnati was the year before. Yeah, it might have been Alabama last year.
Nope, Alabama wasn't in the playoff last year.
Dang, I don't know who was.
You've confused me so
bad.
bad.
I've confused myself.
Who was in the playoff last year?
That's a great question. Who did TCU? TCU beat Michigan. Ohio State.
Georgia beat Ohio State.
Yeah, that's right.
Good grief,
man!
2 Big 10 teams.
Yeah, two Big 10 teams were in.
That's right.
Yeah,
because they wanted them
and not both of those played in the conference championship game. It was who won the rivalry game in between Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, I think.
What do they call that? The
Iowa.
Big game? What's it called?
Iowa got in there. Iowa was
in the
or somebody like that. Anyway,
Iowa or Purdue or something.
I think it was Iowa.
wasn't a Michigan Ohio State championship. That's another reason I kind of like the Big 12 without divisions, because you get the best 2 teams in the conference championship game.
Yeah.
Versus, and it was kind of like that in the SEC West and East for a little while with the SEC East was really weak for a bit, but Alabama, LSU, Auburn just ran over them in the conference championship game.
All right, final bit of business today. The Texas Tech Red Raiders have been showing up in some top 25s. They're 24 in the coaches poll. This is for football. And then Shahan Jayaraja had them at 19, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Brett McMurphy had them at 11.
Brett's trying to get more Twitter followers is what he's doing.
So that's
trying to make all the Tech fans happy for all the things he's going to say after they lose a game.
So that comes out on Monday, the AP poll.
Yeah.
Where does Texas Tech land in the AP poll?
Receiving votes.
I think they'll be at 21.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's go
23 and a half. I'll take
the AP as being Tech favored Tech's hardly ever favored in the preseason AP polls.
Hey, these national guys like Texas Tech.
Do they? They
Yes,
like Joey McGuire,
they do.
I guess. I mean, I
I'm
like
telling
Joey
you.
McGuire.
And
If I'm picking it, I'm thinking 23 or 24, but I think that I don't ever put any faith in the AP voters. That's my deal.
these AP voters, these voters look at national guys, they look at the coaches poll, and they decide from there. You're 24 in the coaches poll. You're up there in some of these national guys' votes.
Brett McMurphy is an AP vote.
That's what I'm saying.
11.
So is Sean.
Yeah. You're 11 and 19 in those two. So somehow it has to average out, right?
21.
I'm sure Don Williams has you at number 1.
No,
actually, Don probably has you at receiving votes.
Yeah, Don is unranked.
Don is not a homer in any way, shape, or form.
You got to earn your double T.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I remember, was it last year?
We're saying receiving votes.
Yeah, 25 or 24. That's where I'll go.
So I've talked
25.
So you'll take the over at 23.5. I'll take the under.
Now that I thought about Brett McMurphy putting him at 11, I think they have a good chance.
Lubbock Yanero, was McGuire a good hire? The jury is still out. I don't think it is. I think he was a good hire.
Terrible hire, right?
Yeah.
Horrible. I mean, here's the thing, too. He's only been here for a year and a half. I mean, he's coming upon his second year. Really, when you judge a hire is probably 4 years down the road. But as far as right now, what we're judging it on, big win. Big win as of right now. I mean, you sold out your season tickets for the first time since Cliff came back?
And 2 games.
Yeah. So that is a win in itself right there. I think Baylor fans are really kicking themselves for letting Joey McGuire get away. Now, I do think Dave Aranda is a good head coach, and I think he's done a good job at Baylor. Obviously, he won a Big 12 championship or took him to the Big 12 championship game. But, yeah, I think, and of course, a lot of that had to do with Joey McGuire and the recruiting process that he had instilled as the head of operations, director of football operations, and those things. But, yeah, I think Joey McGuire was the right hire. And Rob, you're probably the only one who remembers this, but before they hired Matt Wells, there was one name that was on top of my list. Number 2 was Joey McGuire on the list. And I think we talked about it. Like, he might be the best hire for a job like Texas Tech. This is before you hired Matt Wells.
Who was your top list?
I think my top pick was Lincoln Riley. But he wasn't leaving. That was wishful thinking. He was still the offensive coordinator at that point, but wasn't he before we hired Wells?
Ooh.
Trying to remember.
Close.
Either way, he was number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
Bring him home. And then Joey McGuire was number 2. Just because seeing the Baylor program and where it was after the Art Briles stuff, and then, you bring in an interim, Joey McGuire's the main guy there. He was kind of the mainstay between coaching switches. And so I think he really helped that program improve and be good and not really miss a beat, even though they had a year in between where it was really rough. And then Dave Aranda got there and they were really good. So, and I think they'll be a pretty good football team. I think they'll overachieve this year at Baylor. I think they'll be okay.
It's an odd year.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
You're much better in odd years.
That's fair. That is a very good point.
All right, so that's all I have today. Next week we can talk about the Big 12 a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's about that time to start getting into
Big
12,
it's getting there.
Power rankings and whatnot.
It's getting there.
Excited for the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's, high school teams are having their first scrimmages yesterday and today and Saturday. It's the best time of year, man. There's always the best times of year. There's 3 days of the year that you always look forward to. It's Christmas Day, obviously, everybody loves Christmas.
Uh-huh.
It's opening day in baseball, whether that be college opening day or Major League Baseball opening day. And then it's opening night or opening day of college football season. Like those three instances are my favorite holidays. And I know nobody else cares about a lot of people don't care about, opening day in baseball or opening day in college football, but those are my 3 favorite holidays. You could get rid of Halloween and all the Valentine's Day crap and
Yeah, the older I
and all
get,
of that.
Halloween is just not one of my.
Yeah, it's a pointless holiday. It just takes away from football. But it is fun whenever you get a night game in the Jones on Halloween weekend. I'll give them that. I'll give you that much. But
Fair.
yeah, it was. I'll also say this: listening to the Gauchos episode the other day, we were watching the Virginia game, the Gator
Yeah.
Bowl. That was
Yeah.
a fun episode. I liked reliving that game through you and Kyle in the middle of the show.
Yeah,
Loved
those
it.
get a little ADD every once in a while. We forget what we're doing.
Well, and it
Just
brings back,
watching.
it just takes you back to those years in Lubbock, and it just shows you the difference in where you're at as a program now and where you've built to. And I really think it's been it's been some rough times lately, but those times, that success has brought you to where we're at now with the new facilities coming in, with the brand new, south entrances and south end zone. The suites in the north end zone, everything's changing here in Lubbock. It's a great time. And I think Joey McGuire just adds to, and this staff and the success that they had last year, especially in the Big 12, just adds to the excitement around Texas Tech, not just in football, but in everything too. Cause it's an exciting time in Lubbock for all Red Raider fans and for all the teams that are coming into the Big 12. I'm sure it's the same feeling. It's an exciting time at UCF with Gus Malzahn, big name being there. They're looking forward to competing in a Power 5, seeing how they play. And BYU's just looking forward to being in a Power 5 and showing they belong. Because I really do think BYU belongs in a Power 5 conference. I thought the Pac-12 should have picked them up a few years ago as well.
They're too stupid.
Balked at that, and now Clay Vyavkov is not going to have a job because there's not going to be any teams in this conference.
What'd you say?
Vyavkov? Clay, what's his name?
Klavkov,
yeah, whatever. Yeah. Whatever his name is.
That Russian guy.
Yeah.
Is he Russian?
I don't know. He's not going to have a job. He's going to be rushing to find a new job by the end of the month. When Oregon State and Wazoo figure out, hey, man, this ain't going to work for us. We need some money.
Something. The Pac-4. Dead in the water.
I think Stanford is going to say, see ya. We're independent after this year.
That's what they need to do.
They have to. That's the best call for them.
Now, do they have somebody to pay them to do it like NBC has paid Notre Dame?
I think NBC would be all over a school like Stanford, right? Because it's the same type of...
You'd have to guarantee. Then they'd be 3 games a day.
Yeah.
And Stanford would be playing at 9 a.m.
Yeah. Maybe Stanford just strikes a deal with Apple TV by themselves.
You laugh.
And they carry every single bit of Stanford athletics.
They
have a,
that's what it would be for sure.
That's the smartest move I can think of right now for them to make, and just do it on a 2-year deal and see how it works.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to do a 1-year deal because
if I'm Stanford, I'm signing up for a 5, 6, 8, 10-year deal.
I'm talking about Apple TV may not want, but if you're Stanford, and as far as other sports than football and all that goes, I think you can still play. You can play basketball and baseball in the West Coast Conference for all you care.
Yeah.
It's a good basketball conference with Gonzaga until the Big 12 brings Gonzaga in for basketball.
Right.
And then it's a good conference in baseball. You got Cal State Fullerton. You've got, the University of San Diego, UCSD's in it. A lot of good baseball programs in that conference. So why wouldn't you want to be in that conference and everything else? Pepperdine. It's another smart school on the coast.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all. I'm done now. That was my final rant.
Here's one more bit of news. Texas Tech football has announced James Blanchard now has the title of general manager.
Oh, yeah, because you can add a general manager now.
Brian Nance moves into Blanchard's previous role as director of player personnel. Sean Kinney takes over as director of scouting.
Nice.
General manager.
I like it. I like it. Which basically just means he's the head of recruiting and figuring out who's getting on campus and doing all those things.
It's the same exact thing he was already doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if there's a pay bump there.
I'm sure there is. You get a cooler title and you get a cooler paycheck.
He already had a double raise. It's
Yeah.
triple
Yeah.
raise. No?
Yeah.
All right. That was the Rob Breaux Show. We'll see you Monday.
Peace.